The analytical trap. What does that even mean? It sounds a little ominous, right? Well, it points to this really curious puzzle, something that happens deep inside all of our minds. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed something, well, strange about your own mind? That feeling that your greatest asset, your own intelligence, sometimes feels like it's actually your biggest obstacle? It usually starts like this. The smarter you get, the more you learn, the more you see all the little details and complexities in the world. And suddenly, the harder it gets to make even a simple choice. I mean, it's a total paradox, isn't it? And that's exactly what we're going to unpack right now. So this brings us to what you could call the smart person's paradox. It's this really weird kind of backward relationship between knowing more and being less able to just act. And you've felt this, right? It happens in these tiny moments, like choosing the right words in a meeting. But it also happens in the big ones, like deciding on a new career path. It's that feeling of being completely stuck, just replaying all the what-ifs over and over again in your head. And this all circles back to the big question we're tackling here. Why? Why is it that the brain that can understand the most is sometimes the very last one to actually do anything? Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this why, we have to look at how a really analytical mind actually works. The best way to think about it is like this. Your mind is a powerful simulation engine, and it's running constantly. First, let's redefine what real intelligence is, because it's not just about memorizing facts, right? It's about something much more dynamic. It's the ability to see patterns, and then, this is the key part, to predict what might happen next based on those patterns. See, your mind doesn't just live in the present. It's always, and I mean always, running what-if scenarios. If I do this, what happens next? What are all the possible ways this could play out? I mean, it's basically a mental superpower. It probably evolved to help us avoid, being eaten by a tiger, predicting its next move. But the thing is, in our modern world, we apply that same superpower to, well, everything. So what this means is that before you even make a move, your brain has already explored a whole bunch of different futures. And that sounds like a huge advantage, doesn't it? A great way to avoid making mistakes. And it is. But that very strength hides a pretty serious weakness. And this is exactly where that advantage starts to feel more like a trap. Because while your brain is off in its own world, simulating every single possibility, the real world, it just keeps on moving without you. All right, let's make this super relatable. Imagine you're just sending a simple text message. For most people, it's simple. You type it, you hit send, done. But for the analytical mind, there's a pause. The simulation engine fires up. Wait, what if this message sounds rude? Could they take this the wrong way? Does it sound too harsh? And the questions just keep coming. What if they totally misunderstand my tone? What if they don't get the nuance here? Your mind starts trying to account for every single possible interpretation, every potential emotional reaction from the other person. And then it hits you, that one ultimate paralyzing question. Is there a better, more perfect way to say this? And just like that, a task that should have taken 2 minutes has turned into a half-hour mental wrestling match. You see, thinking has completely taken the place of doing. This whole experience is so incredibly common that, of course, psychologists have a name for it. It's called analysis paralysis, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when overthinking a decision completely stops you from making any decision at all. Your brain just gets stuck in this loop, hunting for a perfect answer. An answer that almost never exists, because pretty much every choice has some uncertainty. And that right there is the heart of the smart person's paradox. Your mind, in its noble search for the absolute best path, ends up taking, well, no path at all. And let's be clear, this has a real cost. All of that constant simulation, it's not free. It leads to serious mental exhaustion. Your brain is burning through energy. It creates a ton of confusion as all those options just cloud your judgment. And maybe the worst part, it actually deepens your fear of uncertainty, which just makes you even more hesitant the next time around. So the big question is, how do we get out of this trap? Well, the solution is actually pretty simple in concept. It's all about shifting our focus away from just thinking and towards actually doing. Here's the fundamental mindset shift we have to make. The analytical goal is always to find the perfect answer before you act. But the action goal, it's just about finding the very next step and then learning from what happens. Think about that for a second. Clarity doesn't come before you decide. It comes after. See, taking action creates this amazing feedback loop. You take one small step, and the world immediately gives you back real, concrete information, not just some scenario you cooked up in your head. That real feedback leads to real learning, and that learning is what builds the confidence you need to take the next step. That's where progress comes from this cycle, not from sitting around and thinking forever. Okay, so what can you actually do? Here are 3 really practical strategies. First, try to make decisions that are adaptable. The goal isn't to be perfect right away, it's to be able to adjust later. Second, set a timer. Seriously, give yourself 5 minutes or an hour, whatever it is, and when the time's up, you just make the choice. And third, you have to consciously build an action bias. Basically, train yourself to prefer moving forward over just standing still. So this all leads to one final question, and this one is just for you. The next time you find yourself stuck, analyzing something to death, just pause and ask yourself this. Is all this thinking actually helping me move forward, or has it quietly become the very thing that's holding me back? Because at the end of the day, thinking is a tool. It should never, ever become a prison. Your mind's greatest strength isn't its power to think forever. It's the wisdom to know when the thinking is done and when it's finally time to act.